Hi guys, welcome back to exmolex. I was just perusing Ex-Mormon Reddit and I came across this really great thread and I wanted to highlight it. It's called "What Do You Want Your Loved Ones to Know About Your Faith Transition But Can't Tell Them?" As I was going through some of these, I related to so many of them and I really wanted to share them. So if you're really active on Ex-Mormon Reddit, you might have left one of these comments. That I wish they respected me enough to ask about my new beliefs. They go on talking about the ward this, my new calling that. I sit in a vacuum and feel invisible. They feel the right to talk about their beliefs, but actively avoid mine. This is actually something I used to think about a lot, just the fact that, yeah, they feel very comfortable talking about their own beliefs. And once my family members knew that I had left the church, I felt like I was kind of waiting around for somebody to ask me about how I felt or what I believed now, and when nobody ever did, I was surprised and saddened by that. Like, they trusted the church implicitly. These old men that they've never met and don't know, they 100% believed and were obedient to whatever these guys were saying, but their own family member, they didn't even ask like how I felt or what I believed or what I'd been through. So I totally get that. That the initial reason I took my garments off wasn't so I could spit on them and laugh at my covenants. It was due to 22 years of health problems, yeast infections, chasing doctors/cures, and the resulting sexual trauma of it all. You know, it's really interesting noticing a shift in some members with the way they view garments. When I was a member of the church, most people took garments very seriously. My in-laws would question me and my husband if they ever noticed that I wasn't wearing my garments and like made it their business and a really big deal. And now you will see some Mormons that just simply don't wear theirs. And the church is starting to notice this as well and try to encourage the members to wear the garments more often, because some people just are like, meh, not interested. For people who are still in the church, I'm happy for them that it's not taken as seriously. But for those of us who went through the church being really strict about it, like this person, having it now be like not that big of a deal and people aren't worried about it anymore is kind of frustrating. I wish that when I was a Mormon and I didn't wear my garments, I didn't get judged for it as harshly as I did. That the more they talk about it and testify of church nonsense thinking it will inspire me, the more ridiculous and stupid they seem. I didn't leave because I was offended by someone in the ward or wanted to sin or whatever. I left because I could see their church for the sham it is. For Mormons, their church is 100% true, so they think that talking about it and testifying of it, sometimes they'll even say that they've had a prompting to tell people about the church, especially people who have left. A prompting being like a special feeling from the Holy Spirit telling them that they should testify of the truthfulness of the church. Yeah, for many of us who leave, it's not helpful at all. It doesn't make us believe the church anymore. It's just kind of cringy. People like it when I attend church because they think I just might feel the spirit or something. They don't understand that sitting through church as a non-believer is the worst. Listening to all my fully grown adult neighbors sob about how much they love General Conference is pushing me in the opposite direction. Sorry. Yeah, that's kind of similar to the last one. Like, once you've seen through it, it would be really, really hard to fall back into it. That I am still a good person. In fact, a better person now. Yes, 100%. Like, I have changed so much since I left the church, and I 100% consider myself to be a better person now than I ever was when I was a member. And that's not because I was a bad person before or because I wasn't trying, but there are so many things that were holding me back in Mormonism because they were so strict and rigid that now, like, I'm able to be more open-minded and less judgmental and a better person in general. That them reciting General Conference talks for my benefit will never reconvert me, and frankly, it's annoying as hell. I've been trying to articulate this to a few friends, but I'd explain as plainly as possible that the reason I don't go to church anymore is not because I just don't want to go to church anymore, but instead because I actively don't believe in the church's truth claims, and I disagree with and won't participate in many of the church's beliefs, teachings, and traditions. That it's not about them, it's about reality versus fiction, and literally my life versus spiritual death. Also, we'll be totally okay. That's something that I also wish I could say to some of my family members, like, I will be fine. I promise. My life is good. I am good. The afterlife, it's all gonna be fine. It's going to be okay. Actually, something I've thought about saying but haven't actually said to some members of my family is just like, everything that's happening is a part of God's plan, right? Me leaving the church is a part of the plan. Like, nothing happens in your worldview that is outside of God's control. Maybe me leaving the church is a part of the plan. And if it's not, like, why is God's plan veering off course? That doesn't make sense. Not something I'm going to say, but something I've thought. That we stood for truth, protected our family, and resigned with our integrity intact. It was a brave act, vastly respected by people outside of the Mormon bubble. So true. It's something that I forget about sometimes. Like, you know, I obviously hear from people who are not part of the Mormon church pretty often that like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad you made it out. But there are so many Mormons who leave comments on my videos talking about how like, wow, this is so terrible, this is so sad, like you were misled. And it starts to make me forget that like, yeah, outside of the Mormon bubble, people will be happy for you. They'll be like, wow, like I'm so glad that you got out. And people do view it as very brave, which in a lot of instances it very much is. You are risking your relationship with the people you love the most sometimes. It was the hardest thing I ever had to do, and it nearly killed me. Most of the time it seems like Mormons don't get that. They don't understand that like for a lot of us it's not something we wanted. It's just something that happened. And once you start asking questions, there's no coming back. And obviously not everybody's journey out of the church is the same, but for a lot of us, it was really, really difficult and not something that we took lightly. If your unbelieving spouse troubles your worldview to the point of considering divorce, might I submit that the problem is not the unbelieving spouse. Whew, that's a good one. That I had never asked for a faith crisis. I didn't want this. Again, totally agree with that one. So true. Like looking back at it now, obviously I'm happy that it happened. And I don't regret any of it. And I'm glad that I am where I'm at now, but I didn't ask for it. It wasn't something that I wanted. I loved being a part of the church. I made it work for myself. Life was going well. It's not like I sought out and wanted to lose my faith in the church. I think a lot of Mormons believe that people leave the church just because they want to sin or because they don't want to go to church anymore or they're lazy or whatever, and they don't think about the fact that like that's not true at all. That's not what I wanted. I was good where I was at. Again, I know not everybody has the same journey. That's how it was for me. I truly believed it. When I started to doubt it, I didn't search to prove the church wrong. I wanted to prove it right. I never wanted it to be a lie. I was surprised to find relief once I learned it was. I've found joy and happiness in ways I didn't even know existed since leaving and shutting the negative thoughts surrounding my existence as a whole that were instilled by the church. Lovely. That's something I actually have said to some of my believing family members. And you know, it just kind of depends on who they are and what their views are like, if they're very rigid Mormon or if they're more nuanced Mormon. I have personally actually found a lot of healing in being able to talk to my more nuanced family members because they are willing to listen and hear me out on stuff. And I'm willing to listen to them because they're not like shoving stuff down on me. They're just like expressing themselves, and I feel like I can express myself back to them without either of us getting irritated at the other person. So I feel really, really grateful to have family members that are more nuanced. But the ones that are more rigid, like I could not bring up almost anything with because they would view it as a personal attack instead of me just like expressing myself. For me personally, I think obviously talking about it is like therapy for me. I'm able to get like a lot of my feelings out, be able to talk to other people in the comments. Talking through your emotions can be super helpful. Commiserating with other people, feeling like a weight lifted off your shoulders when you get something off of your chest. So I really love it that people use Reddit and other resources to talk about their experiences in the church. And as much as Mormons really hate it when we're vocal, it's really helpful and therapeutic for a lot of us. So let's add more to this conversation. In the comments, let me know if you are an ex-Mormon, what is something that you wish you could tell your believing family members? Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Special thank you to my patrons for supporting the channel. You guys are the best. And extra special thank you to Doug Davis for supporting at the Demon tier on my Patreon. If you guys would like to support the channel, there are links to do so in the description below. Don't forget to follow me on all my other platforms to see more content, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.